What's happening,
Hey, try
bro?
to watch the clock and keep it
Yeah, I got you. It's on now.
when the more platforms drop. Interesting. That didn't last very long. I'm sure it was the way it tied together. But in any case, I just want to do to jump on, man, do another brain dump and well, not even revisit, but just have a conversation that based on something that you said earlier. We were talking about what we were building, and you said that AI is the least expensive that it's ever going to be.
Absolutely. I think that what's happening right now is that there's a fear. They made it very cheap for the public because they're not profitable. And as more people adopt it, like anything, it's called supply and demand. They're going to start increasing the pricing. They're going to start increasing the price of insurance. I mean, of AI, and just to put it bluntly, if you're going to meter water, air, what you going to think you're going to do with technology? So if I'm someone right now afraid of AI, then get in, get out. What can you use it for that it can build you something that you're currently paying for right now that you can reduce that cost? That's how I would look at it. I would look at literally taking AI to say, hey, I was just on the phone with a church group and they have a huge database, but they've been operating with something that's antiquated and nobody really wants to change it because it's the go-to in the industry for churches. And the issue with that whole rhyme of reason, that whole thought pattern was like, it's antiquated. Nobody really wants to attack it, but they want to improve the experience of other people, new members who come into the church. I think this is interesting to say the least. So a proposed suggestion was like, you can keep it if you're going to do it, but why not just create a whole new space so when new people come in, they just have a better experience. You just create a whole new platform and you could do it as cheap as you could ever get. If you go out and hire a developer, you're going to spend some coins. And if you're going to spend some coins, you might as well make sure you invest it in the people that continue. You ain't going anywhere if you're a church. So might as well own it. So
You know
that's
what's
that.
crazy?
Hmm.
Is I heard all that, and as I was taking notes, the last thing you said is that you might as well get it now while it's as cheap as it'll ever get. And my mind immediately went to insurance because that's obviously that's everybody that knows me knows that's the bit like I landed in tech on accident 4 or so years ago, and insurance is I guess my first passion because this has become something that I'm very passionate about for the same reasons. But it went there, and that's kind of where this analogy comes from because one of the things that I specialize in over there is infinite banking, becoming your own bank. And here, what you just said is the exact same thing. You said get it while it's less expensive, while it's as cheap as it's ever going to get. And when I heard that, and when I heard you say it earlier, I was like, that makes sense because if we get it now and deploy it now, it starts working for us. And when it's working for us, it's generating dollars, which buys down the cost of it to begin with, which is the same thing that happens in infinite banking. So that as the cost goes up, which is what happens in that other vehicle that I don't like, that they like to liken infinite banking, as the cost of the AI goes up, so will the revenue that the AI generates. So you won't feel it the way that people that don't adopt it now feel it when they try to jump in because right now the tools that we have, some of the memberships are $10 a month, $30 a month, $15 a month, but those basic memberships are going to be $100 a month. And if you were hesitant to get in at $20 a month, then what do you think is going to happen at $100 a month? Because that learning curve isn't going to get any flatter. It's only going to get steeper the longer
Yeah.
you wait. So, in the way that we build it, you don't even have to worry about the learning curve anyway. But that's what a lot of people are afraid of. They're afraid of the AI in general and spending money on something that they don't necessarily benefit from or get a return from.
I mean, what you're saying is kind of like what's happening in the car industry. Like, if you think about, how much a car was 20 years ago and how much the car is, I mean, dude, they're putting cars on 10-year loans, bro. Like,
That's
help make that make sense, right? And people are
right.
buying. Like, it is baffling to me to understand that how much we all know that the cost of that depreciates the moment that it gets pulled off the lot. And that's what they did with cars, right?
People need them. You can't
Right, we need
you
it.
can't not
Get it.
have one in most
So here
cases.
so
Just
you
like
tell me, I'm gonna put it like this, you tell me specifically, when everything is digitally based, people are going to need some form of AI to support them in some capacity, and now that becomes a driving factor. There's data centers that's popping up everywhere, and people are feeling it, they just don't realize it. They're feeling it in their electric bills, they're feeling it in their water bills, they're feeling it. They just think it's just this war. But the reality of it is that if you're living by a data center, you're being impacted by AI on one end. And then let's just say that you end up getting downsized by a company on another end. And then on top of that, you have organizations like banks who are changing their infrastructure right now internally. So they'll be able to have a lot more transparency. And you already start to see this, especially with the PPP loans that came out. They will have these different vendor banks that would actually have you have this like third party app that you can log into your bank account so they can see how much money you got in it. Understand that the way that this is going is that everything is going to be extremely easy to be transparent. Whereas in that privacy that we as Americans feel like we really currently have, that's what we came for. If you're not in the space to start cornering and positioning yourself, you are impacted by this. And I just feel like there's so much more that you can use for it. Now, the challenging part about it is I'm sure somebody who came out with a car looked crazy compared to somebody who had a horse. Like, I'm not doing this. I'm not gonna sit in fear, man. Look at this contraption.
Imagine that argument between a horse and the car. It's like that's not reliable. That car is not going that
Yeah.
those are hilarious.
So I think that's the interesting part, man. It's just understanding how this works. And so, one of the things that I think naturally how people can really look at using AI and the means to their business is we always talk about making it look like you're a data company first, whether you realize it or not, closing the gap between big boys, but allowing you to basically create rules in your business or decisions or judgments in your business. And then set up like the moment you set up an SOP, that's when you realize that it doesn't mean nothing because when life happens, it never happens the way that you planned it. So, because of your life never planned in that way, you're left to be put in a position where you now have to fill in the gaps. And if you have people, you're telling those people that you don't know the answer. So, either two things you're going to jump in to fix and to try to help them, and you're teaching your organization, I'm the solution, which is a
Hmm.
bad situation. You telling them to figure it out. And then the moment they figure it out, they start to create their own process of how they gonna operate within your organization. So when you go on time, you letting them know like the moment you start making change, like hold on, what you doing? You changing up stuff. And the reality of it is you gave them permission to operate outside of something you didn't think about. So the reason why I'm encouraging the individuals to start using AI is first of all, don't use AI first. Let's write and craft out how you do judgment. What do you expect people that experience to be for the customers that you're working with? And then create a map out what that looks like. Then give it to AI and say, hey, this is what I have so far. Help me fill in the gaps. What does this look like? What are some things that can actually happen that I'm not thinking about? And then what can happen is that you can start creating escalation rules that now allows you to say how much bandwidth you're going to give someone so they can feel like they're a part of the contribution of the role that they're playing versus feeling like they're just hired help or we just telling people and giving people tasks. And I think that's the biggest issue that I've been finding with AI is that we've grown up to be doers, get good grades, be the best player, like
Programming.
just be doers, right?
It's great
But here's
programming.
the, but here's the crazy part though. What book get notoriety the most? I think it's
Think and
Think and
grow
Grow Rich.
rich.
Think and Grow Rich. Like the wealthy think and grow, and consumers they act and do and expect to get rich. Those are two different concepts. So now
Yeah.
AI has, in my opinion, trimmed that down to say we handle the doing. It's time to get back to the thinking.
Yeah, and that ladder you just went through, and the way that you tied that together, trim that down is why I say that if you're not integrating it now, that you're almost already behind because all it really does is simplify, streamline, and condense timeframes. Like you talked about the SOP, the escalations, putting all those things in place. Those are things that you used to have entire departments for. Things
Yeah,
that people used to take weeks to do. And now AI can do it in a matter of minutes. So if you're not already figuring out what AI can do for you, what AI can simplify for you, then it's going to be, like you said, the cost of it is going to go up. It's going to be extremely expensive to figure it out down the line. But what you're missing now is by not having those things in place and leveraging it is that what we call the executive tax is that money that's leaving you blindly that doesn't show up anywhere on the P&L that we want to help you identify through our interaction, through our process, through the developing of our relationship. And the other thing that's scary that I saw, and then I'll leave with this, and I'll be done for the day, is that that those data centers that you talked about, what they're doing is, because AI is not going anywhere, is they're rebuilding the infrastructure. No different than they laid railroad tracks down for transportation for carrying materials from one place to another. They're building the data infrastructure that's going to carry information from one place to another for the foreseeable future. And if
Yep.
you're not adopting to that infrastructure, then good luck catching up.
Couldn't agree with you more, bro. Couldn't agree with you more. So that opens up to say we look to run workshops, which we'll be running one live tomorrow, 1 p.m. Definitely could tap into any of our social connections so you can basically join us at the Hidden Profit workshop where we actually kind of show you and expose you exactly how much money you are actually spending, wasting, doing a lot of things manually, or just how things are been operating. And then how to not only harness that, but how you actually can leverage AI in a way it's going to put you in a better position so you can make better informed decisions. And as we continue to actually do these workshops, we're going to actually start pulling out and showing you exactly how to structure things that no one really teach you about in business. Yes, can you make a sale? Yes, can you make a product or a service? Yes, you can do all those things. But a business is not viable until it's actually able to be repeatable. Everything else at that point is just a hobby. So if you are in a process where you're constantly finding yourself saying, I'm running a business, understand you're just controlling the job as long as you're wired to it. And so this is the best time ever. It's the best time ever to get into technology, not because you need to be an expert behind it, but because you know how to ask the questions to get what you need out of it. And once you get what you need out of it, you can then apply it to benefit. I mean, we're paying gurus like right now. People are paying gurus 10, 15, $20,000. Information that AI gave them. Make that make sense. But that's okay. Hey, I digress. I'm gonna pull back. I'm gonna pull
Yeah,
back.
I mean, go straight to the source.
Go to the
You have
source.
access to the source.
Go to the source, man.
They
That's the
just
next
they
topic.
just
That's
have
the next topic for us, man. Go to the source. Like we
yeah,
gotta have this
absolutely.
conversation.
Yeah, we can do that tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll talk about going to the source. But if you need anything from us, DM Wayne Runs to Ray D Young on LinkedIn, Wayne M. Carr to Ray D Young. Same thing on Facebook, ecroftmedia.com. That's ECROF media.com. Just tap in, ask whatever questions you need answers to, and we'll do our best to bridge that information gap so that you don't get left behind.
Absolutely. It's a
All
pleasure,
right,
Greg.
folks. Have a good night. Always a pleasure.
All right, boss man.